Welcome to 2.5 Brains. It's our latest discussion of the most recent episode of The Amazing Race. The Amazing Race, Season 33, Episode 5. Breaking it all down here. Just going to discuss it right now. I'm your host, Yo Gabba. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/PaymentRoadProductions. You can email the show directly, paymentroadproductions@gmail.com. And you can, like I said, share the post, tell your friends, and everything like that. Just obviously getting back caught up from being out from COVID, trying to get everything back on track here. Hopefully, we'll be caught up in the next couple of days and get everything out to you as we do. Also being attacked by a cat while we're trying to record.
Yeah,
so
you want to explain that part.
So Selena is all over us. Obviously, Jessica was trying to summon Selena last episode. This episode, she didn't need to be summoned. She came right on her own. And is being evil, having her evil time right now. She attacks our feet as we're trying to record this show.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
How you doing?
I'm better.
That's good.
Yeah, how are you feeling?
You know.
Yeah.
Good days and bad days.
Yeah.
Today's not the one of the better ones, but it's alright.
Aren't they all good days and bad days?
Yeah, especially in the COVID era.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and dive in here then. Let's talk about the initial thoughts of the episode. What did you think of the episode overall?
I thought it was interesting. You knew right away, I think, when they were in that area, I at least thought about that they were going to be jumping from somewhere.
Yeah, bungee jumping for sure.
Yeah.
And
good, I guess. Yeah.
It was very interesting though. They said the last episode, the flight attendants talking about how Dusty and Ryan are kind of cocky, and then Raquel the entire episode was talking about how great they are at navigating.
Yeah, I know, because they're talking about how they want when's the last time an all-girl team has won, and they're going to talk about how the guys are cocky, and then they're cocky. It's just like, you should just not say things then.
Yeah, I mean, they went the right way, which was good. They just took their very scenic route.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, Aruna and Natalia really struggled with that too, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. They at least made it there before they did.
Yeah, for sure. So, any other initial thoughts?
No, I think it's hard to, describe it, I guess, without talking about our topics.
Right. So let's go ahead and talk about the roadblock.
Jump at the opportunity. Yeah. So they had to find, I don't remember the name of the dam, but it was a giant dam. I think it was like 750 feet.
Something like that.
Drop or something.
Yeah.
So it was something ridiculous.
Some damn amount of feet.
Right. And one of the team, one person from each team had to bungee jump off of the dam with the Travelocity gnome attached to them.
And a parachute, or and a cord.
And a cord.
Just the gnome.
That is the definition of a bungee jumping.
Yes.
Just a bungee off.
They bungee off, and the gnome's the only thing that breaks their fall.
Yeah, they had to carry the gnome the whole time.
Yeah, they did.
It was the Travelocity episode with the gnome.
Yeah, there's always one of those because they're hooters for Travelocity. Anyways. So then of course Akbar and Sherry. Akbar couldn't do it because he was too heavy.
Yeah, I mean they were told outright that Sherry had to do it, and that sucks.
Yeah.
But she did it. I wasn't sure, but she actually did it. Everybody did it. There was very little hesitation, I think, except just from her.
Yeah, Kim was a little bit worried about it, but she did it and didn't have really any problems. So.
Yeah, I mean, she was freaking out, and then Penn was the one that was crying when he was doing it because he was, I guess, proud of her, worried about her, a mixture of it.
Yeah. For sure. Like I said, some teams took longer to get there, some teams got lost, and teams took the long way, but that kind of set things up after that. And then obviously with challenges like that too, when only one person can go at a time, it's like once the next team gets there, you better go.
Yeah.
They'll pass you, then you have to wait for them to get up, and it takes so much time.
Well, with that one, you had to go and grab a number right away. So, like, if you just beat the other team, then you got it. But, was it Holderness and Ryan and Dusty? They worked together to get there. And then they rock, paper, scissors for who went first.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ryan and Dusty went first because, of course, that happened. But,
of course it did.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that seems like you got that happened pretty well. What's the detour decision?
Bartender or sausage? Exactly.
Mr. Bartender, can you see my
Oh
sausage?
gosh. So the bartender option was you had to gather, it was 12 bottles of wine and 12 packets of, I think it was roasted chestnuts or something.
Yeah, nuts and sausage.
Exactly. You had to take those up, I don't even know,
It was like 300 feet.
of stairs, up and deliver it. Someone kept track of what you brought up, and you had to figure out the best way to do it. It was impossible to do them all at the same time, except some teams like the Holderness are the only ones that actually took all of the chestnuts up in one swoop. But the wine, unless you were packing it away, which they didn't do, they were carrying in their hands. They had to carry that up the flight of stairs.
Right.
And then sausage, which I think only one team ended up doing that one, or no, two. Lulu and Lala and the flight attendants did it as well. You basically went to, I guess it would be a local butcher shop. You got a cooler that already had the sausage like pre-mixed and everything with all the ingredients, and you had to basically just go and stuff the sausage in the same form, same girth, if you will, of what they were doing, and
Not
have
a kid show this week.
Yeah, exactly. Have it be approved by the sausage makers.
Yes, the sausage maker had to check their girth and their length and make sure they were the nice
I
girth.
couldn't think of the word, and girth was the first thing because you keep winking.
And of course, there's only women out doing that one, of course. There's no dudes doing that one, which was quite hilarious.
Guys should know how to handle their sausage, but I guess they don't know how to handle the sausage.
Or they might feel uncomfortable or jealous.
Maybe jealous of the sausage. I mean, the sausage that they were stuffing was skinnier sausage, so... All right, we can move on from all that talk.
Yeah, no, for sure. Which one would you have done?
Because I'm not good I don't have endurance, I would have done the sausage because I've made sausage homemade with my dad since I was like 5. So I know how to do it. And you weren't making it, you were just stuffing it. So there's a difference, but yeah.
No, for sure. And, and presenting it well and everything, which was easy. But
yeah.
I think, it depends on who I'm with, right? If I'm with somebody who's like, if I'm with you, I'm doing the sausage one. Because you know how to do it, you've got the skill set to do it, whatever. I kind of know how to do it. I think I would probably be okay with it. But if I was with somebody who's like, if it was me and like a professional athlete, obviously I would do that one. Because they would be like, carry me up the stairs.
The bartender one? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the sausage honestly is just so simple, though. Because, not saying it's easy to do it. You just have to know the basics where they actually watch what you're supposed to do. And, the first and one of the biggest thing is don't have air pockets in there because it's going to, it's not going to stuff well into the actual casing. Not ripping the casing when you're putting it on that, I guess you call it funnel. I can't think of the word right now. Making sure that doesn't rip, and then making sure you're doing steady pressure and cranking a steady amount. But watching this show with people doing it, obviously they've never done it before, but to me, I laugh because if any of those people saw at the Broadway market, which is a local Polish market in Buffalo, our area, they use a machine with a pedal and it spits out a foot a second of sausage, and they make it in no time at all. So it's once you have that skill set down, it's just funny because it's insane how they make it.
Yeah, and Lulu and Lala, they're definitely annoying, but whatever. But they were talking about how they don't usually cook, but
not really cook. It's but you're not cooking it. You're assembling, you're making it, and at the same token, like I said, you're just stuffing it.
Right.
That bothered me.
Yeah.
And I don't cook. Well, that's good because you're not actually cooking the sausage, but whatever. I just don't like when people say things that are not accurate.
Right. It's there's so many awkward moments in Amazing Race history, and that's definitely, that's not even the top 100. But
no, it's not even close.
There's been some really moments that are cringy. I'd still say the number one cringiest moment in Amazing Race history. Maybe. The one that comes to mind for me always is when they had a challenge. There was a guy and a girl at the challenge, and it was a roadblock, only 1% to do it, and they'd eat frog fallopian tubes.
Ew.
Yeah, it was really bad. And at the end, the guy's he's actually weren't too bad. And the girl goes, I hope you don't eat my fallopian tubes.
That's cannibalism.
It was
So
very, 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 very awkward and creepy, and just like the whole time I was like, why did you just say that on TV? Oh.
Yeah. It's not even a funny joke. That's
No,
like
it was really...
it's a crickets joke. I hope they played crickets in the background after they said it.
I think they did the dodo music. Yeah, it was very awkward and cringy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was,
That's weird. There were some weird ones the past couple seasons, but I can't remember them now.
Yeah, no, there's definitely been some weird ones in life that, I mean...
I'm sure if I go back on our recordings, I can find myself complaining about something that somebody said on there.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
Yeah, but anyways, so, that was one of the things that's like, you're not, or like say, or you always love it too, your favorite parts when they say, well, I should be really good at this because I once, read a book about something that is not even related to this,
Yeah, I love that. I think that was the one the past couple seasons that people were just like, oh yeah, I did this once before, so I'll be fine. What? Okay. If that's what you think, but
I one time rode a bike, and one time read a book about riding a bike, so I can fly a plane.
yeah, exactly.
It's like,
I was in a car that had a stick shift before. I could probably figure this out. Like, did you watch? I mean,
yeah.
I used to be in a friend's car that has stick shift all the time. I didn't know how to do it. Selena.
Exactly.
But yeah, so anyways, the sausage making, the bartender one, it's basically endurance versus good with your hands kind of skill.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, and like I said, the sausage one, the sausage one definitely seemed like it was, if you had any idea what you were doing, you could do it very quickly and get it done. Whereas the other one, if you didn't, if you're just straight up athlete, and even the athletes, I mean, Ryan and Dusty.
Yeah, like we were talking
right?
about the whole discussion with our last episode we just put out, Selena, about being athletic and being better because you're athletic and in shape, but they're in shape, and even after their first trek up, I think it was Dusty or Ryan, one of them, were struggling hard.
Yeah.
And then their second one, they started to struggle even more. But surprisingly, like them, like I said, Holderness was the only one that actually took all the chestnuts up at one time. Yeah. They spaced it out like 3 times or two to 3 times.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I guess he's spread out the bottles because if you drop those, you'll break.
Yeah, but the chestnuts, you should have been able to shove them and hold them.
Yeah.
Put
them in your boobs or whatever.
What am I trying to say? They carried them in their hands, but they didn't cradle them.
Right.
The other teams cradled and held them close.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
Yeah, and they were
somebody want a cat?
They were the first ones to go, so maybe they didn't really, I don't know what. Yeah. They maybe figured they had time, but yeah, I think whoever it was cramping up on the way to the pit stop.
I think which is the one that went to prison, Dusty. I think Ryan was the one that was cramping up bad, and I remember when I was watching it, I was just like, yeah, that would have been me. It hurts so bad when you're cramping up and trying to walk at the same time.
Yeah.
Why? No? You're looking at me funny.
No, I don't remember which one's which, so I never do really.
Ow.
Which one's Lulu? Which one's Lala?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Ow.
I know which one's Raquel, and I know which one's Kayla, but they look very different, but I don't know. Anyways, so...
Who wants a cat?
The next question is...
Ow.
Who got eliminated or almost got eliminated?
No one got eliminated. Not Lulu and Lala. Sherry and Akbar.
Sherry and Akbar were second last, yeah.
Oh, Arun and
Natalia,
yeah. I gotta go kill a cat. I'll be right back.
So Arun and Natalia, they were last, they were second last. And this time they were last again, but it was non-elimination, so they got to survive. I don't know what's going to be next. I guess they're going into... I guess what they're going to do is they're going to do 2 groups. They're going to leave...
There's 3 groups. There's
right.
2 in the first, 3 in the second, and then 1 Natalie and
Arun and Natalia, in the last group. Yeah, so that's how they're doing it. They're departing kind of in groups to kind of...
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess for COVID reasons. I don't know really how it makes sense, but...
Probably, but I mean they've been doing that before anyways though, based on when they
Sort
finished.
of. Yeah, but it hasn't been exact, like the exact same time.
No, but now I'm sure it's because of COVID a little bit too, but
Probably want to have less camera crew around it.
you're giving advantage to the first and second, which this week the first team was not. I guess I never expected that. I don't say never. I was surprised that they got first, and then Ryan and Dusty actually got second for once.
Yeah.
And then Holderness is in the second group, which didn't make me happy, but that's fine.
All right, so it was
Sorry, Penn and Kim.
Holderness.
Penn and Kim. Sorry.
So anyways, so what did Aruna and Natalia do wrong?
Direction. They have a very poor sense of it and don't know which way they're going. I don't know. I feel like that's always just been the issue because when they get to do something, most of the time they've been fine. The one time that they switched was also an issue for them. And then just they get lost and they have to ask where they're going, and they drove 1 hour in the wrong direction and had to turn around and go an hour back and then keep going. That's usually a problem.
Yeah, oh yeah. For sure. So I mean there's that was their big problem this week. They're like I said before, they're a team that if they make a mistake like that, they're not strong enough to overcome it.
Mm-mm.
They're barely hanging on, so a mistake like that's going to kill them.
Well, especially because they start, like, they let it affect them right away, and they're just like, all right, we're done. We're on to this. We're done. They keep doing it, but you got to keep a better attitude about it until you know.
Yeah, I said, like, I think Sherry and Akbar and those, and Natalia and Arun, I think if they had issues with directions or, like, a major obstacle, they would be in trouble. The other four teams, I could see them having enough to overcome it.
Yeah.
But those, Arun and Natalie, if you told me another team was going to go an hour and a half out of the way, I might be like, okay, it's probably tough, but they might have a chance. As soon as you hear Arun and Natalie are going the wrong way, they're done.
I mean, Sherry and Akbar, though, I don't think I've ever gotten actually lost. It's just taken them a while to actually do the tasks that they needed to do.
And like, I guess that's more what I mean. They're not strong enough to,
they can't push it further than what they're already doing.
Right.
So when they're behind,
they don't have another gear.
They're going to be staying there. They're only dependent on if another team screws up or slows down.
Right. For example, I think it was last year where they had the the Amazing Race teams and the reality team. That was two seasons ago, right? I think, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had Team Fun.
Yeah.
Team Fun, right? And that was, yeah. They were not the first team to ever do it, but they got U-turned, and they ended up completing both legs of the U-turn, and then finished first and won the leg. Right? It was like crazy.
Something like that.
Yeah. And this team, if they ever got U-turned, forget it.
Yeah. And no one would U-turn them because they already know that it's hopeless.
Yeah, unless they're they have to save themselves, whatever. Then maybe they would, but
yeah.
They're not they're not a strong enough team to. They said like you said they're at the max right now. There's not another gear they can kick it into.
No.
And so if things go wrong, they're done.
I just always feel like it's unfortunate because I for me feel like Akbar is always choosing the tasks that they're gonna do, and it's not where their strength would be.
Yeah.
Like, they're not an endurance team. They know this. Why would you pick 300 feet of stairs to climb where I'm sure they would have been fine doing the sausage making thing? And I don't want to say it's because he wants to hold on to, like, they are basketball players and basketball stars and that's their thing and that's what he keeps talking about. But, when you get older and you don't actually work out anymore, it makes things a little bit more difficult. Not, like, to say, like last time I said, you don't have to be athletic, but I know I'll die if I had to do all those stairs. Like, you couldn't get me to do that.
Well, I was going to say the exact thing you just said. I think is like, hey, I used to be an athlete. Let's hang on to that glory. And hang on to that,
You have children and you know that you're not in the same shape you were. Right. The same endurance, at least, because there's athletes that are bigger. I mean, look at football players. They still have to do drills and run and everything, but they're not going to be, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit of the arrogance of it too. I think really is what it is. I think it's like I'm good. I'm not I'm not old. I'm 96 years old. I'm not old. Okay.
I know. I just feel bad because it's never her. It seems like her decision, and he's always then yelling at her. It's like, well, if you pick something that she'd be better at doing, that wouldn't drag you guys down. It'd be fine. But I don't know. They bicker obviously a lot on the show all the time. So we're kind of going into the power rankings a little bit here. But I completely agree with everything you said. So Let's go into the power.
Let's go on the power rankings. Obviously, Rune and Natalie they lost, but they weren't eliminated. Who's number 6 on our power ranking, Jessica?
Obviously, Natalia.
Natalia. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I keep saying it. But I mean, that's pretty much, I think, the best, only real thing to say about them. I mean, they're not strong enough to overcome major obstacles. They'll probably be next. Maybe they'll pass somebody, but it's a struggle for them for sure.
Yeah, they've only got a week or two left.
Yeah,
pretty much
for sure. They're
unless something crazy happens, which it has.
U-turns or whatever. Something somebody really mess something up, but
yeah, they're
at best the 5th best team.
Yep.
At their ceiling is 5th best.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was other teams that were still here that didn't not return, they would be their ceiling would have been like 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. Exactly.
What is next?
Akbar and Sherry, number 5.
Number 5, Akbar and
Obviously.
Sherry. Yeah.
They've only got a week or two left as well.
Yeah, again, same thing. I mean, again, things can happen, but and again, it's kind of chicken or the egg thing. Are they not great at the race because they're not, great at the race, or are they not great at the race because they don't communicate, or do they not communicate because they're not good at the race? It's kind of like both of those things. Right? I mean, they don't make decisions. They don't talk about things before they do it. They just do it, and then they bicker about it the whole time. It's like, instead of doing that, why don't you talk about it, make a decision, and then maybe you can both have ownership of it, not to argue about it, and not have to bicker about it. But obviously, it works for them. So I mean,
they've managed to stay in.
And they've been married for however long, right?
Yeah,
so obviously, what they're doing in their life works.
Right.
Their relationship works for them.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if it's conducive to the race.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So.
I agree.
Or my caller. Who's number 4, Jessica?
Lulu and Lala.
Yeah, and
despite being first this week, it doesn't change much.
Yeah, I know they had a good week for sure, and they really had some things that really worked in their favor. They made good decisions this week. I was debating putting them 3. They really could be, but I still think they're the 4th best team left. What do you think, Jessica?
Yeah, I mean, you have to go by consistency and not week to week, because like we've said, you can have a really good week one week and then you're still going to be where you normally are the next week. So
yeah, I mean, it's good to see that their ceiling is first place, because obviously they have done first. They have won a leg, but I just don't see. I think it's like, if you ask me 10 times, what position will they finish 10 times? I would say they'll finish in the bottom half 80% of the time, and then the top half, maybe even finish first once.
I mean, there's a variable because they made it to the bungee thing, I think 3rd. So it's not that they were first or second, but they beat the flight attendants because they went in the faster direction. So, and jumping 3rd, then they had to get back to their next one. They picked the sausage making, which was a faster task for them than having to climb. So that's why they finished that in that spot.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I said, and I think that was really, I think they've shown that they can finish first. I don't think they'll do it again.
No.
But like I said, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll win the whole thing. But I just think, like, if you look at if you run a leg 10 times, which there's about 10, a little more than 10 legs in the race, I would say they'll finish last once or twice. They'll finish in the bottom half 7 or 8 times out of 10, and they'll finish first or second once or twice out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So we said if you pick any leg at random, they probably finish in the bottom half.
Mm-hmm.
They just happen to win this one, and I kind of think that's why they're kind of still a bottom half team.
Yeah, I agree.
What else?
Number 3.
Number 3 is
flight attendants.
Flight attendants, yep.
Raquel and
Kayla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raquel and Kayla, not flight attendants. Raquel and Kayla. They have names that apparently I have to.
I heard something said. I heard something said on a podcast. It says, "We only use nicknames for people we like." So they're not the flight attendants. They're Raquel and Kayla because we don't like them.
I guess it's just easier.
Right. You only use nicknames for people you like. You don't use nicknames for people you don't like.
Ryan and Dusty that we like, and they don't have a nickname. So what's your
The criminal and the other guy. Anyways, the criminal is Buddy. Anyways.
I'm going to tell you later how in all those things you just said you're wrong.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll correct me because, welcome to my life being married. I get corrected a lot.
I wouldn't have to correct you if you were right.
Oh, zing! Where's the Big Brother Zing bot when we need him? All right. Anyways, Kayla and Raquel.
Yeah, third.
Why?
Because they're consistently in the top three, but they're not always finishing first. They also can make stupid mistakes, and I think it's hilarious because he decided to change who was navigator and who was driving, and then I don't know who's who.
Raquel is the one who was driving this one.
Yeah, okay, and then Kayla was the navigator, and she did worse than Raquel would have done, so...
Yeah, and Raquel the whole time like, you're such a good navigator. I'm so happy, so proud.
She's making faces like, I don't think you're on the right way.
Yeah.
Don't tell me because you're a flight attendant you're good at direction, because you're not flying the plane. You're in the plane serving drinks and making sure everything is safe. Okay? Doesn't mean you're necessarily good at direction. You can know where your continents and countries are, but doesn't mean you're like, oh, Switzerland, yeah, I can take you there. We need to hop on the EUWZB and then go south.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you probably know where it is on a map. You might have a
sense of direction.
You may even know some of the bigger cities and kind of where they are and how to maybe you're on them if you've been there before. But like, as far as like, oh yeah, I know where Switzerland is, so I can definitely navigate through the city, through the country.
I'm a flight attendant, so obviously I can do that.
It's like, but yeah, it was just funny how Raquel's like, oh, you're such a good navigator, and Kayla's like, yeah, and then rolling her eyes like, I'm not.
Like,
but
the cringe face.
Right. Overall, though, I think they did fine. I think it's one of the things where if they really if they stick to what they're good at, what works for them, and not just be like, oh yeah, like for example, like if I go out to do a challenge, I'm like, oh, I can do this. And I really can't. That's a problem, right? It's if you if you think you're really good at something and turns out you're not, that can hurt you big time in the race.
Yeah, you gotta put your pride aside and be like, I can do anything, but you're not gonna be able to do it. So don't say you could.
Right. And that could be it's like when Aruna and Natalie did when they lost the first time, right? Mm-hmm. They wanted to do like the dancing or whatever, the choreograph thing, and like I'm like, I don't even know Arun. I know he's not gonna be able to do it. And Natalia thought really highly of him, so he'll be able to do it. Like
just because you want it to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Exactly. So when you
trying to will it to happen, it doesn't mean it's gonna work.
Making smarter decisions rather than being prideful is the way to go for sure.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, they'll be a good team. As I said, there's been 3 all-female teams who have won, and they all won, I think, between like 20 and 30, which is like crazy. Mm-hmm. But I just don't see them doing it. But again, they're not like one of the teams where I'm like, oh yeah, they have no chance. I think they I wouldn't put huge odds on them winning, but I would say that they're better than a better shot than other teams.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
No.
Who's number 2?
Penn and Kim.
The Holderness family, yes.
Yeah, Penn and Kim.
Yeah.
Holderness, yes.
Yes. Why them?
Because they're always consistently, usually in the top 1 or 2, for the most part. This week they finished 3rd, but they're always dominating on most things that they do, and especially working with Ryan and Dusty, at least to get to certain locations, that's worked out for them as well.
Yeah.
Except when they made stupid mistakes, like Penn thought, just finding the letter in the box was just too obvious and had to wait for the second train.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and like it's interesting that these teams are working together because they are the 2 biggest threats, I would say.
Yeah.
So usually you don't want to work with your best competition. You want to try to get them knocked out, but
no one's been cutthroat like that at all.
No, not at all yet, and
it's kind of nice though.
Yeah, and then maybe with COVID, they're kind of like, well, we're just here to have some fun, maybe. So who knows?
Maybe. Yeah.
Penn and Kim do have younger kids though, don't they?
They're I think like 10 and
8.
Yeah, they're not teenagers.
Yeah. So, would you say they're probably in their 40s?
Yeah, they're 47 and like 45
or
something.
Around there. Okay, so they're not young. They're not old, but they're not young.
They're the new 30, really.
Yeah. It just, they're, I hope they can have the stamina to last the whole race. And as you get, if you remember too, on the Survivor Amazing Race Big Brother season, the Amazing Race teams dominated just because it's so strenuous to do. You get 12-hour rest period, whatever, but then you're going for another day and a half of racing. So it's like traveling takes a lot out of you in general. right? So jet lag, and then you have to do all this other stuff too. It's a lot, and the teams who, the teams who were really good challengers on Survivor, they did really well for a couple weeks, and then you get down to the Big Brother teams. There's some teams who are really good at the challenges in Big Brother, but by the time they get to the later legs, it was the Amazing Race teams they pulled away because it was something they were more used to doing, and the Amazing Race teams the other teams couldn't keep up. And I hope that Penn and Kim, maybe the break in there maybe help them regroup, whatever. I just hope that they can hold up, because it's not not a lot of teams over 45 win the race.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I haven't noticed fatigue in any of the teams. Everybody seems like every week we see them, they come out with like high energy and like don't seem exhausted at all.
Right. It is just the second week back though. Keep that in mind too.
No, I know. I mean, that's what I mean. There's only been 3 or 4 weeks together, and then they come back again. Yeah. So, yeah, once it gets toward the end, but also the things that they do for a living and making videos and stuff, like it's not just sitting there. They do a lot of choreographed things and moving around. So, they do things that are movement every day. But I know since they're older, it could. At the same time, though, when you get older, you kind of get used to having less sleep because of having children and either being up or whatnot as well. Or some of us are just used to, running on empty. Right.
Well, that's true. And I think one thing that is a note that you can say and is a benefit, and even if you look like the Survivor challenges, if you look at the Survivors, the torture challenges or the pain challenges, the endurance challenges, who wins those more often than not? Women. The women have a way higher pain tolerance, and they have a way higher. They can run on empty, like say, a lot better than men can. So that is one thing that is a really strong benefit for them. Is if they do get fatigued, the guys with muscles get fatigued and then they're done, and there's no second win, there's no third win, there's nothing. But like older people or people with different body types, usually they can get a second win and a third win because it's just not they're not relying on just straight muscle to keep going.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Women have children, and that pain threshold is about having like 20 bones broken at the same time. So
understandable.
Yeah. But a guy can't handle a cold. Go figure.
Yeah, well, it's true. Women are superior. We know this.
Thank you.
But anyways, I think I think that's kind of, I guess that's maybe only hesitation putting Penn and Kim number one is that I think I kind of look at it now, and maybe I should think about how we do the power ranking or whatever. But at least for the last little while, I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like throw a dart at the wall, and obviously with more data, there's more more evidence to support that. But I feel like you throw a dart at the wall, which who's most likely to win that leg? If you had just you pick any leg at random, who's the most likely to win that leg? And I think you kind of have
you have to take in the variables like you kind of said though, because it depends on the challenge and it depends on who chooses to do what, I guess.
Yeah, the navigation, and again too, you could have one team that's a really really strong person, and they do all the challenges early, so that's why they're dominating. Then you get to the person who has to then make up for it, and the weaker person is doing all the challenges later, and then they fall apart. That has happened a lot too.
Right.
So strategically doing who's doing what challenges is obviously important.
To that point, Sherry has been the one that's been doing like all the challenges, and he hasn't done any. So let's hope when he actually has to do them that he pulls through better than what he's saying she's doing.
Yeah, no,
not
sure.
to say it, not to throw blood or stir the pot with that stuff.
Yeah,
but he hasn't had to do anything himself.
You're right. No, you're right completely. And I think too. I think that's kind of why you say who's second, who's first, whatever. I think it's just if you go into any leg of the race and say who's gonna win this leg without even really knowing what going into it. How many legs are you going to say that Natalya and Arun are going to win? How many legs are you going to say Sharon and Akbar are going to win? How many legs are you going to say Ryan and Dusty or Holderness are going to win? Yeah. I think your odds are very different. So I think that's kind of why you rank them we rank them in the spots we rank them is kind of because, the odds of them finishing first or finishing second or finishing third compared to another team is I think it's kind of why we slot them in. And then from that, extrapolating through the whole race. Well, if they had the best odds of winning a leg of the race, then they have the best odds of staying in the race, and then therefore the best odds of winning the race in the final leg. Like I didn't have the guys who won last season. I wouldn't have said they were going to win that leg, the final leg, but they were the three best teams were left at the final three, and then it's just okay. Now who's going to win one leg?
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't have necessarily picked them as the best odds of winning the race, but they stayed around long enough, and obviously they were the top three best team left. I mean, I think that's why they won. So I think it's kind of the same boat now with this team, with these teams here. If you're the best odds of winning any leg in particular, well, as long as you get to the end, your odds are better.
Yeah.
Right. The odds are you're going to win a couple legs down the stretch and therefore win the race.
Well, like I said, there's only one leg that you have to be number one at, and that's the last
for
one.
Sure. For sure. And that has happened too, where teams didn't win any legs until the last one. So
that's all that you need to win.
And so that's why I feel like if you are there, as long as you're there, you could win. You can win seven. There have been teams who won seven or eight legs, and then they didn't win the last one. So it's all that matters is the last one. Yep. For sure, like you said. Yep. So who's on that note? Who's number one again this week?
Apparently the jailbird and his friend Ryan and Dusty.
Ryan and Dusty. So again, I just think they have the best odds of winning any leg in particular, and so I think this one. I think that's kind of why I have them here.
They did show this past week though they do have struggles because they didn't finish first.
They didn't,
and it's because he got a cramp.
Yep, and they just I think they made bad decisions too. I think the sausage one was clearly easier.
Well, yeah, but I mean like Lulu Lala did pass them on the street because he was struggling to walk, so that literally was the reason that they were not first. They were there not far after them. So they do make some bad decisions, and they aren't invincible.
They aren't invincible. I think they're strong enough to overcome a lot of obstacles. But like I said, I would be surprised if they don't get U-turned. I think the only way they don't get to the end is if they U-turn if something happens.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the only way they don't make it to the final three.
Yeah.
Now again, they get the final three, anything can happen. But I think the only way they don't make it to the final three is if they get U-turned and something happens like that.
Yeah, because I mean they've shown that they have range because they did the flag twirling thing, even though most times they just do the endurance stuff anyways. So
they've said that too.
Kind of do both. Yeah. But yeah.
For sure. They said that's kind of something they try to do.
Yeah.
For sure. Cool.
Right.
So that's our power rankings. Those are our top six. Another episode will come up here shortly. So we'll see. We'll see who wins, and I assume it'll be elimination this week. So we'll probably talk about who got knocked out next week. But be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. You can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. Subscribe, tell your friends, share the post, and we'll go from there. We'll get them out as soon as we can, like I said, as soon as quickly as we can. So, if you do subscribe, you won't have to worry about it. It'll show up in your feed.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Jessica?
Nope.
Awesome.
See ya.
Sweet. Well, thank you. And until next time, safe travels.